Good morning, friends. And this, the intention of, I'm Steve. The intention of this video is to let you know I'm Steve. And another intention of this video is to be a healing video to deal with the intense emotions that are arising for some, if not many. And the main three emotions, although you may have other ones arising for you, the main three emotions are fear, grief, and anger slash rage. So if you haven't been working with the anger, starting off working with the rage can be fairly powerful. My kitty's already crying to come in, and I just let her out, so I'm just going to ignore her. And she'll probably just keep crying. Oh, but I want to be with you. But she'll just come in and disrupt everything, so I'm just not doing it. So what I am going to invite you to do is know that this video, it shouldn't be too long, but it'll be just packed with information. So feel free to stop it and start it and stop it and start it and take your time going through it, because I'm moving at the speed of light currently, because I've already done this process and wrote about it when I was doing it and stayed very much as a witness or observer of the process, not getting lost in what was surfacing. So if you find yourself not skilled at that and all of a sudden you're triggered or feel a lot of emotions, stop the video and then just go be with those until they integrate. And then if you want to, start the video again. This will be a powerful healing experience for anyone who does it, even if they don't think it is. Because sometimes you notice later, like, whoa, what just happened? And this will be one of those, I am quite certain. So to start with, there's just a few words that are useful to state out loud. So I'll say them, you repeat them if you want. I ground myself to the healing center of the planet. I open myself to the healing power of the One. I choose to release anything that is no longer useful to me now. Just remember this later when things are coming up for you, that you can state again, I choose to release anything that is no longer useful to me now. I invite all my spiritual helpers and guides to be present within this healing field now. And if possible, to give me verbal guidance in this process, I welcome it. And I will state, and you don't have to do this, but I will state that any guidance from any of the helpers and guides, the other level beings that are working with any who choose to watch this video, I welcome their advice during the process of making this video. And I'll just say this, you don't need to. I ask that we be placed in a field of protection while we do this work. And if there are events, that would be useful to hold a space for clearing during this process, I invite the higher self to take us through the portal of time to the event or events that would be of the highest good for us to release and integrate during this video. And I invite all souls affected by these events to return to the events to release and integrate the energy of the event for themselves. And I ask that they all be placed in a field of protection while they do this work. Upon arrival at the event, I ask the higher self to assist us to release and integrate all energies of the event or events, gently and easily, fully and completely, on all levels and through all space and time. So you will be experiencing what I do in an individual session with a client. And so this will energetically be a healing session for you while you do this with me. And I'm going to move on to some words that I wrote this morning about a process that we will be going through currently. So good morning. And I thought that I would write, as I release and integrate an extensive amount of grief, fear, and rage. And so I'm going into all of these states as I read them, so you might actually feel them. And if you want to keep them kind of outside of yourself, you can just feel them at the edge of yourself and feel the grief, fear, and rage of which I speak. For others who feel ready, they can feel that grief, fear, and rage inside themselves as I speak about it. And this grief, fear, and rage has been arising following a Thomas Hubel talk on Thursday, and an Anna Molitor meditation and small group triads to process the energies that arose from the meditation, and that was on Friday. I have noticed a pattern following each of these talks. I had afternoons of flow. So when I listened to Thomas speak on Thursday, that afternoon I had an awareness of my life flowing as if I was in a river just going along with the current. Following the flow was an emergence of large amounts of emotions combined with physical symptoms and pain. When I awoke yesterday, Friday, I was experiencing higher levels of panic and fear higher levels than I had felt comfortable feeling before. So in other words, it was a higher grade of panic fear than I'd felt before. And I spent 2 hours releasing the fear pattern and sat down to write of my experience. And then my wife came into the room and said that she had been feeling intense panic throughout the night and had the thought that I might help her to release it, which I did. Then at 10 Pacific time or yesterday, I attended the Zoom meeting with Anna Molitor, which is a meditation, transparent communication practice group within the Mystic Cafe. And there are a lot of new people who joined the Mystic Cafe for the month. And even more emotional energy surfaced to be released. And so I'm pausing because I'm feeling for some of you this emotional release taking place. And I want to give you the time and space to just release it as we go. And I have been helping my older than I neighbor across the street to remove unrecyclable stuff from his side yard to haul to the dump in my vehicle. So after the session with Anna, I thought it would be a good time to haul this stuff, to fill my van with this stuff and haul it to the dump. So after throwing all the stuff out through the back of my van, I paid at the booth and proceeded to drive south and to stop in where a good friend of mine is house sitting at a log cabin mansion overlooking the Admiralty Inlet, where water flows from the Pacific Ocean towards Seattle, with the Olympic Mountains in the background. It's quite nice. But my friend who caretakes this house over the summer, where the owners are riding their boat through Alaska, this is a neighborhood that is doing fine during these challenging financial times. But my friend had been conscripted to unload a bunch of furniture and house stuff into the garage from another house, and I agreed to take 3 really expensive large rugs. My wife and I looked at them as whether they would be useful in our home, and we discovered that they would not be. So then I drove them to the Good Cheer Food Bank, the drop-off center that supports the food bank. They sell things that people drop off, and they use the money to purchase some of the food as well as what comes from the garden to give to people who are in need of food. And so there was a woman there, and I helped the woman then load these rugs up into her car, from my car into her car. And 2 of them would be going to her daughter, who just bought her first house. So the 3rd large rug I gave to the woman at the pet food store, who happened to mention she was in need of a rug, and I happened to have one in the back of my car. And I offered to drive it the 8 minutes to her house and drop it off on her porch, which I did. This morning, I woke up with a lot of anger, rage surfacing. This is deeper emotion, and a lot of people are concerned with anger and rage because in their experience in the past, another's anger or rage, or their own, may have risen and violent acts were performed. And we'll just say someone hit us or we hit someone, which is a loss of control, and letting it flow is okay, but a loss of control where we use that force to injure another, it would be referred to as trauma if the other wasn't able to digest it. So I had been noticing some of the symptoms of that emotion surfacing with a sudden onset of low back pain this current time, and a stiffness and pain in my right ankle, and tension in my solar plexus. So I'm going to slow down for a moment, because these may not be the places that you feel this anger, rage energy. But when I mention where I was experiencing it, you may experience it there or in other places. About 20 minutes ago, I made the decision to slow the process down, to put it on pause energetically, and go feed the cats, and then write about the process as a means of sharing it with my community. So currently, I am aware of a large amount of energy in my solar plexus. And you might feel that right now, and it's okay if you don't. Because it may be frozen. It may be so contracted you can't feel it, and that's okay. It's also okay if you began to feel it as it loosens up. And I have begun to be aware that this solar plexus is where one of the places I hold fear. Both Thursday and Friday, as I listened and felt Thomas, then Anna's words within the community that I belong to, within the community, so I'm on a community call, much energy began to flow. And right now, I am feeling a heaviness of my heart muscle, and with that, a pain that is traveling down the left arm. And if alarm bells go off for you, thinking about pain in the heart and traveling down the left arm, this is a time that you can let go of that fear. And notice this is a symptom of heart awakening. So the emotional pain that was held there, when it begins to release, you may feel the pain you weren't able to feel when the trauma happened. So there's no need for any of you reading or listening to this to worry. This happens almost every time in a session for me with clients when they are releasing heart area pain. And so if you're feeling that and you need to pause the video, just pause the video, come back to it when you're ready. And now I am experiencing pain arising in my small intestine and on kind of towards the left side in the abdomen, just below the rib cage. And just to the left of my belly button. And you might feel that, but right away I wrote, now I am feeling the intense contraction of my forearms, which feels like a mixture of fear, sadness, and rage. And remember what you said. I choose to release anything that is no longer useful to me now. So just remember that, and maybe if you need to, state it out loud again. I choose to release anything no longer useful to me now. When I was writing this, when I wrote the word rage, I felt the area around my umbilicus belly button rise up with emotion. And now it is increasing in my small intestine and now my heart. So again, if you need to pause the video. If you need to state out loud, I choose to let this go, state that out loud. And notice when you state that out loud, if it releases. Because these are all signs of energy awakening. And it is often quite painful. So letting go of my resistance to the flow by softening and allowing often helps. That is helping. And I'm feeling a lot of grief releasing again. And that may be your grief that I'm helping to release. And that is what I do. But allowing that softening to the flow is helping. This is what I wrote. And I'm now feeling pain in my left sacroiliac joint. That's in my low back, between my sacrum and my ilium, also called the pelvis. And that area is beginning to feel a pulsing feeling as it releases the energy that I have held there, probably since very young childhood or earlier. And notice these waves, how these energies just come out, and how we need to pause and possibly state again, I choose to let this go. And then when we let it go, then by remaining grounded, we naturally digest it. This is, for those of you who are more recent subscribers, this is as powerful of work as I do. I mean, it may get powerful in the next session, but right now, this is the peak of healing power that I can work with. It may be more than you can work with, so then you just stop the video and work with what's already happened, allowing yourself to soften and allow the energy to move. And then once it's moved and it feels digested, hit the play button and go to the next stage. Feeling a pulsing feeling as it releases the energy that I have held there, probably since a very young childhood or earlier. And now I can feel my calves are tight, and I'm reminded to make sure that I'm grounded to the healing center of the earth. And so just imagine the energy going out from your feet all the way through the earth, or just into the earth. But if you can imagine it going all the way to the center of the earth, that is the healing center of the earth, kind of the heart of the earth. And that helps us to release and integrate these stored emotions. And now I'm experiencing the pain in my right ankle as the energies are currently blocked, and I am softening the area with my consciousness. I'm imagining it getting softer and softer. I'm imagining there being more space around my ankle. And then that energy can flow. And I want you to know that it is not always this easy to let these bigger energies go. It is my training with all of you and practice that has taught me how to stay present while these energies are releasing. And again, I'll advise you once again, if it ever feels too much, the term titration means stop the process, stop the the connection to the energy is flowing. Just pull back if you feel like it's right, turn off the video, and just work with the little bit that you can work with. And once you've worked with it, turn the video back on. And you can watch this video hundreds of times if you want to. And each time this process will occur. It is my training that has taught me how to stay present with these energies that are releasing. And I began my conscious training in 1970. So that's 56 years. And you may ask, well, why do you still have so much stuff going on? Because I contracted to help heal the world before I incarnated in this life. So now I feel the pain in my right elbow, and I relate to that pain as stored grief. And now I'm softening and allowing more space in that area to let that energy move. And I write here, sometimes just one emotion comes out, and sometimes there is an untangling of the tapestry. And each thread is composed of an event that holds many emotions that color what was woven. As I basically watch the unweaving, I feel the release of emotion and the movement of energy as the dam is gently opened. And just know, if you can soften as opposed to contract. So when something is painful, our tendency is to contract to attempt to stop it. If you can instead soften and allow a little bit more space for feeling, it can become less painful and release easier. And this is a training session I'm doing. So I'm teaching you how to do this. And you can take a break, get a glass of water, and use the bathroom and come back to it. Because now the pubic bone is releasing at the very front bottom of the pelvis. And it is releasing the rage to move. And my legs are increasing in tingling and a feeling of energy flowing. And I can feel my heartbeat in my whole body. My sinuses feel quite congested, And the back base of my skull, called the occiput, is quite tight and uncomfortable. So instead of listing more symptoms as they arise, I'm going to allow my attention to soften and give space to various areas as they release stored emotions. First, I'm releasing the back of my shoulders, where it feels I hold the weight of the world. As I release my shoulders, my nose is beginning to run. I remember the very old joke. And I'm 75, so if I remember the joke, it was probably 68 years ago. This is the very old joke. Quote, "When your nose runs and your feet smell, you are built upside down." End of quote. That made my heart laugh and release. Now the sides of my neck are releasing. And the left side of my head is called the parietal bone. And now my jaw is pulsing. And just a reminder that your own process may be different. As you read or listen to these words, you may find different experiences happening. But we can still do this together and differently. We are one community within a larger community who are changing the world by allowing change inside ourselves through our attention and letting go of holding on. Now there is a feeling of swirling. And again, if you need to pause and take a break, pause and take a break, and then come back if you want to. Now there is a feeling of swirling. And this often happens when the overall pattern that is arising begins to release. And I like the term real ease. It comes from release, real ease. The spinning this time is going counterclockwise as I look down from my point of awareness, oftentimes in my head, and my calf muscles are tingling and I'm beginning to feel the spiraling in both calves, and my feet are tingling. My upper back is pulsating. My neck is moving. The fronts of my shoulders are pulsing. My abdominal tension is releasing. The area in my lower rib cage, kidney area, is releasing the tension of fear, as well as my solar plexus and umbilical area, and the area just below my neck, between the back portion of my shoulders, in my spine, is beginning to soften, and that area is related to my heart tension releasing, and that spinal area releasing its contraction that helped to hold that heart tension. And that just released. And my body is beginning to rock front to back as it would do when I was a child and I was holding in my upset over something that had just happened. And I would rock back and forth until I could hold those emotions still and stop them. And now I am rocking them to comfort that part of me that was injured at that time and is now healing. So that is all for now. I will just be rocking myself back to wellness again. But this time I'm rocking as I open and release and integrate these energies. May we take care of ourselves equal to the care we give others. I'm going to say a few words to complete this. I ask the higher self in our soul group to assist all the souls that return to the various events to combine with that part of their soul that had remained at the events and bring that combined soul back into the body in present time with all of its wisdom, power, and clarity, compassion, curiosity, and kindness. And with love and peace and joy, I ask all the souls to ground themselves into the healing center of the earth and open up the portal for the delivery of the new energies into the earth at this time. And I ask that this new energy be brought in now. And that it be activated. And I let the universe and beyond know that this has been done and that it's good. Thank you for participating in this individual and world healing. And that I would love if you would write in the comment section any experiences that you had so that others can see if that relates to the experience that they had or they had a very different experience. And that way we can all see that our experience is ours, no matter what meditation we're doing or whatever it is we're doing and what the larger group is doing. Our experience is ours, and it also relates to the group we are healing with. Okay, that's it. I hope it serves you right, and I hope it serves you well. And now let's go.